Hello everybody, Garrett Rose again, General Manager at Wisconsin Memorial Park. It's been a while since we've recorded and broadcast a video, and I wanted to do something different today. So I have a special guest with me this afternoon. His name is Michael Rosa.
Hey, hi Garrett.
Hi, how are you?
Good, doing well. Thanks for having me.
Mike is the leader of a band called The Now. He's also their lead guitarist and one of their vocalists as well. And I invited Michael here today with me to talk about community service. When you think about what we do here at Wisconsin Memorial Park, and Mike's going to share with you what he and his band do for the community, there's some similarity, and you may find it a little bit odd that I'm talking to you from a cemetery, and yet Michael and I are talking together about how both of us serve our community in different ways. This all started when 2 years ago I went to Michael's show at Delafield Days and was really impressed and had a great time with what you guys did that weekend. And so the next Monday, oddly enough, I called a phone number that was on their website, and he answered. I couldn't believe it. So we started talking, and if you remember, Mike, I had asked you, how could we possibly partner and go down a path together and talk about community service?
Yeah, and I remember when we first talked about it, as obviously being in a band, we have some other partnerships with other companies. Those are your typical alcohol partnerships or musical instrument partnerships, and those things kind of make sense right off the bat. So those are the easy things to go with. That's what most bands go with. And then when you approached me with this idea, I remember at first I was like, well, I didn't know how we fit into that. Yeah. And nothing that we do, even with all the partnerships that we have with the band, they're products that we love and that we enjoy. A lot of bands will get a partnership with a beer distributor, just to get free beer. Mm-hmm. And that's something we've never done. All the partnerships that we have are products that we absolutely love and use. So I didn't want to do a disservice to your company right off the bat by just agreeing to the partnership without taking some more time to think about it. So at first it was an idea that I didn't know where we fit in with you guys,
Yeah, and since then we've talked about how that works together. And when you think about what we do to serve all of you, Mike and the band do the same thing in a totally different way, but there's levity, there's entertainment. And I was talking to Mike today over lunch, and he had a really good concept of how that all ties together. And when he is performing in front of your crowd and the people that come to you, you were thinking about some things that tie into what we just talked about.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're in the business of bringing happiness and bringing a joy to people in the audience, giving them time to kind of de-stress and forget about all the heavy things in life. Mm-hmm. And I think you guys do the same thing. When you guys bring what you do to the community, you're helping people in the most stressful time, the most terrible time of their life with a loved one. And I think, so even though we're different spectrums of bringing some sort of happiness and joy to people, I think we do have that in common. And that's ultimately what led me to say to myself, well, maybe there is something that we can work together with in this.
Yeah. And I had asked Mike if he'd ever been here before. He knows about the park. He's visiting us today. Mike has lost his father, so there's value to him also in what we do here. And do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, when we talked, the way that I came to call you, we've had a lot of conversations, and you kept, I
was persistent, wasn't I?
Very persistent, and I love that because I'm the same way. And I finally said to myself, because I was thinking more about it, I'm like, well, I do have a story to tell because my father died a few years ago, and we didn't have any arrangements set up. We didn't have anybody to really turn to in this time. And it was just, I remember leaving that day from my father's house. We waited 30 minutes for someone to even come and help us with my father after he died. So we had that time period there where we didn't know who to call, where to turn, what do we do? We didn't even know what we do next. And so I think that made me think of if I have that story to tell, and we do have this partnership, you guys provide this service, and it would have taken such an enormous amount of stress and anguish out of that day for us, just having that someone who's there and, okay, we got this, we're going to help this, we've already worked this out, we're going to take care of you here. Just grieve. If you can just grieve and not have everything else to worry about, that would have been monumental for our family.
Yeah. And when you think about the parallelism, the side-by-side thing, when you said levity and stress relief, we do that for families each and every day. You do that for your families and the people that come to see you each and every weekend. And if you haven't been to one of the Now shows, I encourage you to go watch. They're wonderful, they're great. They take the time to connect with their audience. Michael has been gracious enough to put a link to our website on their webpage because, again, we've come to this conclusion where we're both here to serve our community. Granted, it's at different times, but the levity, the stress relief is there. We both value each other, and we're just glad to pass on some information to you and make this connection, because when you think about it initially, it doesn't make sense. But when you analyze it, it really does.
It does, and like we talked about at lunch today, it was when we're performing out in a crowd, and somebody in that crowd, there's people in the crowd that are dealing with issues that you help with. And this is another thing that brought me to like, this is the right partnership. And anyone that's been following the Now for the 16 years now that we've been around, they know that we don't do anything really conventional like a lot of other bands do. And we've always done things kind of our own way. And so this, it kind of actually makes perfect sense. Right. But someone in the crowd is dealing with someone who's suffering or a situation that you guys help with. So if we can be a small part of the community, that's what we've always wanted to do, is help with the community. So we're not just a band that goes out and plays shows and gets paid and has fun, but we also want to try to give back in some way to the people that come see us and try to be a comfort to them. So if we can partner with you guys and have that bring awareness to more people, I think we would help people with that.
Yeah, and I think they definitely will. One thing that Mike told me today during lunch that really stuck out is one of the things that is a staple and something that they take very seriously. When their shows are over, they don't just pack up and leave. Mike and Joey and the rest of Jim and the rest of the band actually takes time to visit with the people who come to their shows, to talk to them, to let them know that we're here. You know, we want to talk to you. And like I said, he answers his phone. I mean, what other band member, you know, does that? So I don't want to bombard Mike with phone calls, but if you ever have a question about
Absolutely.
the Now, where they are.
That's why we put the number on. We're one of the few bands that has the direct number to me personally on our website. If you have anything to ask, I have people call me, just ask me, does the show start at 6:30 or 6? One website says 6:30, one website says 6. What time you start? I answer the phone, let you know what time the show starts.
Yeah, that's great.
It's just, like I said, with everyone being out in the crowd, and what you said about the stories, we hear so many stories from people that come to see us and that time after the show. And a lot of times, I told you about today, we played a show a couple days ago where as soon as the show got done, they were kicking everyone out and shutting the doors. And that didn't feel right to us because we didn't get that connection time with the audience after the show or on the break if you're playing a straight through set.
Sure.
So we hear those stories from people. We have a person that comes to see us quite often, and his wife died, and we play one of his favorite songs. And so when you talk to people like that, yeah, you're just a band playing music, but you are really making a difference in people's lives and touching people with what we do. And so even though you guys touch people on a different spectrum, we touch people too. And I think putting that together, it just ultimately makes sense.
Yeah, that's a great thing that you do for that man.
Yeah, Taro is one of our favorite people in the whole world.
Yeah, I can imagine why. Thank you for watching, Michael. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Looking forward to this. Yeah, we
again.
can help some people. It'd be great.
All right, thanks everybody. If you have any questions, you know how to reach Mike, you know how to reach us. We're here to serve anybody and everybody whenever you need it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.